Hello everyone, it's Rosin, and any of you who know me well enough at this point know that I am always looking for an excuse to talk about Gundam and my thoughts on it. And with the recent release of the official English subtitled version of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury Prologue, which is a little pilot episode that precedes the Witch from Mercury TV series that's going to start already next month. Jeez, time flies. I remember when that was first announced, and I was like, God, October's so far away. But here we are, in September already. Yeah, I just thought it was the perfect opportunity to record a little thing on my thoughts. I have watched this 3 times now, because it was first revealed at a special event in Japan, and like it leaked. There was like a proper like streamed version of it, I guess, that was up on like sites like Bilibili and stuff. So I watched it there first, just without any subtitles whatsoever, and you know, I didn't understand what was being said, but through the animation and stuff, you know, it was a nice introduction to what was going to be this world, and kind of the conflicts that they're setting up and all that. There's a lot that could just be grabbed just by the visuals of it all. And then a few days after that, someone made some very horrible machine-translated subtitles for it, and I watched it with those, which was nice just for a little bit more context, but, you know, it's machine-translated, so it's like, I don't know how accurate these are, but I liked what was being conveyed, roughly. And then finally, with the official Sunrise subtitles, I watched it a 3rd time. I know that there's been fan subs out for a while, but I was like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. Sunrise will eventually make, like, official subs or whatever, and I'll just watch those. So I waited. And then last night, me and a few friends got together in our Discord group, and we watched it. And, yeah, all 3 times I came away liking it more than the last time I saw it. Obviously, it helps when, you know, I'm going from no subtitles to poor subtitles to good subtitles, but... you know, just every single time I watched it, the more I was sold on what this new continuity for Gundam is going to have to offer. But been very excited to have another new Gundam setting full of conflicts to explore, and new mobile suits and characters and ideologies and all that fun stuff, right? Because it's been a while since Iron-Blooded Orphans, which I believe was like 2015, 2016, something like that. And I know that we've had build stuff since then. I still haven't watched the build stuff. I know I'm a bad Gundam fan, but I don't know. It's a little harder for me to get invested or interested in the build stuff. I know that they're very good for the most part, and I've had friends that have had a lot of good things to say about the build stuff. I just need to go through it and sit down and watch those finally one of these days. But you know, even actually, I bring up Iron-Blooded Orphans in part because I can definitely feel that. This feels, I don't want to say in continuity, because that sounds narratively, and it's clearly not, like, it's its own separate, like, world and setting and all that, but I can feel the transition being made from Iron-Blooded Orphans to this in a way that excited me greatly, because, for those of you who don't know, I fucking love Iron-Blooded Orphans. Well, I don't know if I'd say love. I greatly like Iron-Blooded Orphans. I know a lot of people soured on it with Season 2, I think a lot of the narrative problems people have with that show are fucking ridiculous, and I don't want to sound mean, but for the most part, I feel like the people who complain a lot about the stuff that happens in Season 2 should maybe watch some more crime drama and crime fiction, because it's drawing a lot from that, and I don't think people really understood the rise and fall story that was being told there, and the significance of its elements, and I feel like a lot of the complaints people had about Aibo were very stupid. Though, granted, I do also think that there are a lot of complaints and flaws about Aibo Season 2 that are very valid, especially when it comes to, like, the turbines and shit. That stuff was stupid, but, I don't know. I really, really, really enjoyed Iron-Blooded Orphans, and I enjoyed that it seems like this new setting is going to be exploring a lot of those ideas in a different but very similar way. In particular... something I've always loved about Gundam, and is something that's actually very, very personal and close to my heart, is the ways in which that Gundam explores the interplay between the pilot's body and disability and cybernetics and prosthetics and stuff like that with, you know, fighting in a war and piloting the Gundams and mobile suits and stuff like that. I don't like to talk a lot about my personal relationship with that stuff, just because my circumstances are kind of unique, and I'm just not comfortable talking about it for, like, a public internet audience, I guess, but let's just say that the subject of disability hits very close to home for me, especially in terms of like mobility and stuff like that, which was part of the reason I really enjoyed, for the most part, how much it came up in Iron-Blooded Orphans. I'm not entirely happy with how they handled Mika's body kind of becoming more and more disabled. There was some stuff that I thought could have been handled a little bit better. That I don't know why there are no wheelchairs in space, and they just carried him around like he was like a potato bag. That was kind of weird. But that is almost always something in Gundam that gets me hooked. Like, even going back to Universal Century, you know, even in War in the Pocket, in the early days there, you had that scene where Al gets explained from that scientist guy about how a lot of I believe he talks about how a lot of the technology used for mobile suits were originally supposed to be used for helping people who were disabled, and kind of more of like a cybernetic, like prosthetic type of thing, and then eventually that technology got co-opted to be used to create these horrible weapons of mass destruction, and something that was meant to be for the betterment of the world just, you know, led to massive ruination and destruction and the death of half of the human population in the Earth sphere. And even in Thunderbolt too, is again another series that I have complicated feelings about how they deal with that stuff. Where I really enjoy how Daryl's struggle with his condition is explored and portrayed. At the same time, that series likes to bring up the question a little bit too much for comfort for me, where the more that Daryl's body becomes artificial and based in the prosthetics, they kind of nudge up against this uncomfortable thing of them asking, oh, is he becoming more monster than human? And that is always first of all, no, that idea just fucking sucks whenever it comes up in sci-fi. That's not how that works. I fucking hate it. I hope that Thunderbolt lands in a good place with that as it comes towards the end of its run. I know the manga is kind of in the last arc there. I need to catch up with the manga. I'm like 4 volumes behind at this point, I think. I still have them. I just need to crack them open and read them. Been too long since I read Thunderbolt. But yeah, I guess I say all this just because Witch from Mercury seems to be treading that ground again, with the system that makes the Gundam operate in this setting appears to be based on medical technology that has helped people adapt to living in space. And I am very, very curious to see how they explore it, and I hope to God that they give it more care than the series has traditionally given it, because it's always something that it's one of those things where I'll take it, and I'm happy they're talking about these things, but some of the conclusions they come to, and some of the ways in which they decided to depict things, I'm kind of like, oh, you're so fucking close, but like, I wish there was a little bit more care taken, or like more thought given to the subject matter that's very close to home for me. But other than that, I enjoy how overtly we have so much political intrigue within just this prologue episode, with the corporations and government bodies warring with each other, like this regulation agency type thing that is very clearly being operated by a ex-military guy with a greater agenda, and just completely annihilating this corporation that's behind the Gund format technology and all that, and probably trying to seize the Gundam. I probably should have rewatched it. Like I said, I was watching it with friends, so we were talking and stuff, and I maybe didn't grasp everything as best as I could have during certain scenes, but you know, I always love a good people in boardroom talking cut to military operation that is very clearly not above board, and that sort of thing. And then you have all of the like news footage of like people talking about what issues are important for people in space and what issues are important for people on Earth, and it looks like the people in space are more of the oppressive party this time around, whereas the people on Earth are kind of more, at least I think I remember there was like a huge list of like issues or whatever, and like it showed like what are the important policies for people living in space and what are the important policies for people living on Earth or whatever. And it seemed like, if I recall correctly, it seemed like a lot of the space stuff was like very like warmongery, like capitalist, like that sort of shit, and the people the people on Earth were more like, oh, we want to be treated well, or you know, like that sort of thing, and like, you know, equality, that sort of stuff. So interesting to see how that'll go. Of course, there always has to be. Well, I guess I don't want to say always, but I think a traditional part of Gundam DNA that there's that divide between those living on Earth and those living in space, and I'm curious to see how they handle it this time around. But I am mostly interested, I feel, in how the corporations, because from what we know of the series pre-release so far, it seems like it's a lot of like different corporate bodies going against each other in certain ways, while also taking place in like an academic setting. So between like the school, these different mobile suit companies, and then obviously there's this huge government body that has a huge finger in the pie too on mobile suit development and seemingly having their own goals. I am so looking forward to how these factions go against each other, basically. That's always one of the most fun things in Gundam, when you get some good old factionalism and all these different clashing ideologies. I love that shit. I just eat it up for breakfast. So I think that the prologue did a very good job of mostly being like a standalone thing that was just very easy to, like, you know, get my friends to watch, right? Like it told its story, and obviously there's room for more, but it just tells this nice little tragedy that this family experiences, and does a great job of encapsulating the horror of what Gundam is in such a short amount of time. Like, even you have the scenes of the protesters, and they have the close-up on the sign that Gundam killed my child or whatever, and then later on, just the horror of the, I guess spoilers, by the way, but the horror of the protagonist at such a young age being forced to just kill and just not even being aware of the consequences and the violence that she is doing, as her mother just looks on in terror, and her dad gives her life so that the mother and the protagonist can get away. Just so brutal, but just does such a great job of just being a piercing statement of this is what Gundam is. Innocence being taken away from children, thrust in an unfair world full of warring people who are causing such destruction and chaos to create a world that they think is better in their own way, and just not being aware of that and having to deal with the the difficulties of coming of age in such a world. I think it did such a phenomenal job, and even more extreme than usual. Like, I think Soletta, of all the Gundam protagonists, might be the earliest one to cause a person to murder someone in a mobile suit. She's like 4, right? So just brutal. But I think that the writers are very interested in exploring the things about Gundam that I personally have most been interested in with the series, and I am just so excited to see where the full TV series goes. I'm assuming it's going to be like Iron-Blooded Orphans, where it's going to end up being about 50 episodes, probably split like 25-25 or something like that, maybe 24-24, who knows. But goddamn, I am in such a happy place with Gundam right now. Like, the Doan's Island movie was really fucking solid, I would say. Hathaway has been great. Again, like I said, I really thoroughly enjoyed Iron-Blooded Orphans. I'm having a good time with Gundam right now. It's been a good couple years here, and I am very, very interested in seeing if Sunrise sticks the landing with this one. Again, for those of you who watched my last Switch for Mercury kind of like impressions video when we first got some more news about the cast and characters and mobile suits and stuff, the head writer on this has a very hit or miss track record. So we'll see if this one is more of a hit or more of a miss. I do believe I remember talking to a friend, though, who said most of the stuff that they've been doing as of late has been fairly well received by people. Granted, I feel like more and more as I get older, my tastes don't necessarily align with the typical anime viewer, I guess. So who knows? Maybe I won't like it. But I am rooting for this team to create a solid show, and everything I've seen of G-Witch so far has led me to believe that I am going to be very interested in this story, and I think that they're going to explore some very, very familiar ideas, but from a different perspective. And if they manage to keep at this level of characterization and world building, I think that just the story will turn out fine. So we'll see how it goes. I loved the animation. Who can say if this is going to be the same level of animation that we're going to get for the TV series proper? Obviously, it's very easy for them to create a very refined, nice-looking, promotional one-episode thing. How that looks stretched out to, like, a full season, who knows? I'm gonna assume the TV series will have similar aesthetics, but might look a little worse episode to episode. Then they'll clean it up for the home release, as, you know, every anime company is wont to do. But, yeah, I'd give this like a solid like 9 out of 10. I think rating things by numbers kind of corny. I like to not do that, but that's just kind of where it feels in the heart right now. It's not like the best piece of Gundam media I've ever seen, but this is very promising. I'm much more interested in this than I have been historically in a lot of other alternate continuities. And I wish the team at Sunrise the best as they go ahead and make their show. So. Yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. I am going to probably cut it here, and I don't know what I'll use for footage. I'll probably just put up like a picture, or something, or maybe some M-Bond footage. I don't know yet. I'll put some M-Bond footage up. It's probably more fun to watch than just a fucking picture. And you know, I'll get some more new type netplay episodes up soon too. For those of you who are maybe just finding this channel because of me talking about G-Witch here. I do have a series that I have been very bad at updating, where I just go through my old footage playing through Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme vs. Maxi Boost on, and I should spend today, since I have a lot of free time today, recording some more episodes for that and getting them up on the channel soon. So look forward to those. But other than that, yeah, I hope the rest of you have a good Labor Day weekend here if you're in the States, and just have a good one. See ya. Bye.